Hello everyone, RJ from Vidhya Communication Enhancers is back again. Today we have one more interesting story, the man who removed the second door. For most of his 20s, Aditya had two doors in his mind. Behind the first was work, behind the second was escape. Every free evening he stood between them. Work said come, escape said come, and Aditi began negotiating. Should I study? I am tired, but I need to improve. Maybe after dinner. Should I solve the problem? I don't know how. Maybe watch something first. Should I build the project? It will take months, maybe tomorrow. He believed he was thinking. He wasn't. He was conducting an election in which one candidate offered effort now and reward later, while the other offered reward now and consequences later. Escape won almost every election. Eventually, Aditya became frightened by his own predictability. He could wake in the morning, determined to work. He could write codes. He could listen to something powerful. He could feel completely serious. Yet gave him an unstructured evening, and somehow he arrived at the same destination. Strange episode, another. The strangest part was that he often wasn't enjoying himself. Sometimes halfway through an episode, he wanted to stop, yet he continued. This revealed something important. He was not chasing pleasure anymore. He was obeying a route. His brain had traveled pre-entertainment so many times that the road had become a highway. Meanwhile, free to difficult work was still unpaved road. One evening, Aditya visited his grandfather, the one who had been a railway signal operator for 40 years. Aditya told him everything. I knew what I should do. I know wasting entire evening hurt me. I genuinely want to improve. But whenever the moment comes to decide, comfort wins. His grandfather asked, why are you deciding? Aditya frowned. What? Why does the decision exist? Because I have to choose what to do. No. The old man pointed toward the railway track outside. When a train reaches that signal, do you ask the driver how motivated he feels? No. Does the driver stop and reconsider whether Mumbai is still worth reaching? No. Why? Because the route has already been decided. The old man nodded. Exactly. You are trying to take important decision at the worst possible moment. When you are bored, when you are tired, when you are confused, when entertainment is one tap away. And then you are surprised that the easiest option wins. Aditya remained silent. His grandfather continued, you don't need to become better at winning the argument. You need to stop holding the argument. That sentence followed Aditya home. The next evening he finished dinner. Immediately the familiar question appeared. What should I do now? He stopped there. That was the beginning, not Netflix, not YouTube, not the phone. The question itself. For years the question had opened the second door. So Aditya answered differently. There is nothing to decide. He walked to the desk. His mind protested. Just relax first. He sat down. Maybe 30 minutes. He opened the problem. You are not focused. He began anyway. Maybe tomorrow morning would be better. He wrote anyway. He became stuck. And then came the strongest command. Leave. Aditya felt his hand moving toward the phone. He stopped. His grandfather's railway appeared in his mind. A train does not change destination because it encounters it. The hill is part of the route. he returned to the problem. That evening was terrible. His concentration was poor. He accomplished little, but before sleeping, he understood something. For years, he had measured evening by output. Tonight, I learned a lot. Good evening. Good evening. Tonight, I struggle. A bad evening. Now he used another measurement. Did I obey the route? Yes. Then the evening continued. The next day he returned, and again. Some evenings were excellent, others were useless. Some night he deliberately rested. Sometime he wanted a pill. Sometime he went down. But those were now decisions made consciously. They were no longer what happened automatically when life had nothing else scheduled. Slowly the architecture of his mind changed. Free time stopped meaning. What pleasure is available, it began meaning. What needs moving forward, being stuck stopped meaning. Escape, it began meaning. Stay with it or change the approach. Finishing one task stopped meaning. Reward yourself immediately. It began meaning. What is the next on the route? Years passed. Then one evening something happened that Aditya almost missed. He finished dinner. He had 2 3 hours. He walked into the room, opened his laptop, opened his phone, and began. 10 minutes later, he suddenly stopped. Something felt strange. Then he realized what had happened. There had been no argument, no motivational speech, no battle with himself. No. Should I work? Should I watch? Maybe later. Just sit, open, begin. Aditya leaned back. Year earlier, entertainment had possessed exactly this privilege. He had transformed it. Work had become the highway. Escape had become the road that required a deliberate turn. He smiled, not because he had become obsessed with work. He still hated sleep, rest, friend, laughter. Or days when nothing useful happened. Those those things belonged to a good life. What had disappeared was something different. Automatic surrender. Years later, Aditya's son came to him with the same problem. I kept choosing comfort. Aditya gave him the answer his grandfather had given him decades earlier, then stopped making that decision. His son looked confused. Aditya drew two doors on a piece of paper, work and escape. Then he crossed out the second door. What does that mean? It means you decide your rest in advance. Your, you decide your entertainment in advance. You decide when work ends. But when the time you assigned to growth arrives, he pointed toward the remaining door. There aren't two options. What if I don't feel like it? That isn't a new information. What if I'm stuck? Change your approach. What if I'm bored, being bored? What if motivation is completely gone? Begin without it. What if motivation is completely gone? Begin without it. What if I really need recovery and deliberately recover, sleep, walk, rest, but call it what it what it is? His son asked, and if I just want to escape, Aditya smiled. Now you have finally identified the moment that matters. He pointed again at the drawing. Your old mind show you two doors. Don't fight with the second one. Don't explain why the first is better. Don't negotiate. Don't wait until you want the first to remember. He crossed out escape again. That door was removed before you arrived. His son kept the paper. Months later, one evening, he became stuck on a difficult problem. His hand moved automatically toward the phone. Then, the drawing appeared in his mind two doors, one crossed out. He didn't feel motivated. He didn't suddenly love the problem. He simply withdrew his hand, looked at the unfinished work, and thought, there is nothing to decide. Then he continued, and that sentence eventually became more powerful than motivation because motivation still asked him to feel something. This required nothing. Free time arrived, began. Difficulty arrived, stay. Failure arrived, adjust. Fatigue arrived, recover deliberately, then return again, again, until one day the mind stopped asking, should we work, and began asking, where do we begin? This is the reflex I think you are actually trying to build. Free, begin. Stuck, stay, or change approach. Tired, recover deliberately. Finished, choose the next meaningful thing. And the sentence to repeat when the old choice appears. There is nothing to decide. There is nothing to decide. The decision was made before the feeling arrived. So, with this, we are ending today's story.